dive.
MW1 stops music, movies, and sport.
Welcome along. Today we're diving into the story of Wayne Cooper. He played a really, really pivotal role in the funk band Cameo.
He really did. A fascinating figure.
Absolutely. Now, we should say right up front, the information we're working with today, it's mostly gathered from, well, various places online.
Yeah, that's a key point. So, while we've pieced together the story as best we can, internet sources, well, they can be variable. Accuracy isn't always guaranteed.
Exactly. So keep that in mind as you listen. But even with that caveat, the story that emerges about Cameo is just fantastic. I mean, for anyone who knows them, they were this incredibly dynamic, revolutionary funk band.
Oh, definitely. More than just the music. They had the whole visual thing, the energy.
Totally. And a huge part of their sound, especially as they were rising in the late 70s, early 80s, was Wayne Cooper. Just this incredibly gifted vocalist, his falsetto. It was kind of central to their whole vibe.
That high register voice, yeah. It's amazing how one specific vocal quality can become so tied to a band's whole identity. Cameo's sound was distinct, and Cooper, he brought this emotional complexity, really set them apart.
So our mission today really is to explore Cooper's contribution, his legacy, based on what we found online, acknowledging those potential gaps or inaccuracies.
Right. Let's get into it.
Okay, so Wayne Cooper, born sometime in the 1950s, soul music is just exploding then, right?
Yeah, a great era for music. And the online info suggests he came from a musical family. Seems pretty common for artists who really make a mark.
That early immersion, yeah. And apparently he developed this just a remarkable falsetto really young.
Mm-hmm.
It's even mentioned online he could mimic guys like Marvin Gaye, Curtis Mayfield as a teenager.
Wow. I mean, that's some serious natural talent. To nail those kinds of voices so early, it points to a real gift, plus, a deep feel for the music.
Definitely. Makes you wish we knew more about his early life, because as you said, the sources indicate it's not heavily documented.
It's often the way, unfortunately.
So how does he connect with Cameo? The band started as the New York City Players, right?
Yeah.
Founded by Larry Blackmon, early 70s. 14 pieces.
Yeah, a massive lineup to start. That scale you'd expect allows for those really rich arrangements, especially big horn sections, which was, a key part of early funk.
And they changed the name to Cameo later.
Apparently so, yeah. To stand apart from the Ohio Players is the story you often read online. They were consciously trying to build their own thing.
And they did. They got this reputation, according to the online accounts, for these wild stage shows.
Flamboyant.
Infectious grooves, tight horns. Sounds like a whole experience.
Definitely.
And then Wayne Cooper joins. Late 70s, right as they're really taking off. And online, this moment is often painted as like a real turning point.
Yeah, the term game changer comes up a lot in those descriptions. You've got Larry Blackmon's powerful lead vocals, very distinct.
Right.
And then Cooper's falsetto comes in, offering this amazing contrast. It wasn't just different, it added a whole other emotional layer. Exactly. Blackmon's strong, sometimes kind of gritty delivery, and then Cooper just soaring above it. It gave them this incredible sonic and emotional range.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this brings us to what seems like a really key moment. Based on the online buzz, the Cameosis album, 1980, consistently flagged online as a major milestone.
Right. Cameosis, for what we gather online, seems to be where they really nailed that blend of high energy funk and smoother, more sensual R&B.
Or refinement, maybe.
Yeah, refining their sound. And Cooper's voice seems absolutely central to that shift based on those online analyses.
Let's look at some tracks people talk about online. We're going out tonight. The opener sets the tone right.
Totally. And the way his falsetto is described, like dancing around Blackmon's vocals, is such a great description. You can almost hear that interplay.
That call and response,
Right.
really establishes the album's feel straight away. Shows off that vocal blend.
Mm-hmm. Then there's Shake Your Pants.
Yes. Blackmon's on lead again, but online people point to Cooper's harmonies, those high runs.
Yeah, elevating it. Making it a live favorite, apparently, according to fan sites and forums.
Yeah.
You can picture that live energy.
Definitely. Those little vocal flourishes, that's what makes a track stick, right? Makes it a classic for the stage.
Absolutely. Showcases the talent.
But the big one,
Yeah.
the one that comes up again and again online, is Why Have I Lost You?
Ah, yes. Often cited as his signature performance.
And it's interesting because it was on an earlier album, Cardiac Arrest from 77, but they re-recorded it for Cameosis.
Which really tells you something, doesn't it? The fact they revisited it, as the online info suggests, means it held huge significance for them.
It's described everywhere online as this just powerful anthem of lost love, showcasing the emotion in his falsetto.
And that re-recording likely brought it to a much wider audience, cementing its place. To see it consistently called an anthem online, it really highlights his impact through that one song.
Yeah, it feels like that track alone really carved out his space in music history, at least according to the consensus online. So, okay, the voice is incredible, but what about the person?
Well, the picture painted online from bandmates or researchers is of someone quite quiet, introspective, didn't really seek the spotlight.
Which is such a contrast to that soaring voice, isn't it?
It often is. While Blackmon was more the public face, Cooper gets called the heart of the band in some online pieces.
The heart, wow, that's powerful. Suggests that emotional core.
And maybe that quietness meant he wasn't always as visible as Blackmon, which might affect how his legacy is seen now, looking back through these online records.
That makes sense. If Blackmon drew the main spotlight, Cooper's contributions, though vital, might be less obvious in the sort of general online narrative.
But the accounts mention his humility, deep spirituality, perfectionism in the studio,
Right.
all things that point to serious artistry, even if it's not flashy. And crucially, his role as a background vocalist and arranger, often without big credits, it seems. That dedication to the overall sound is huge.
Absolutely invaluable. And Cameo kept going strong after Cameosis, didn't they? Online discographies list, Feel Me, Knights of the Sound Table, Alligator Woman. Successful albums.
Yeah, and the online sources suggest Cooper was still deeply involved, contributing to arrangements, songwriting on Feel Me, those shimmering background harmonies on tracks like Keep It Hot or Roller Skates.
His signature sound.
Exactly, still shaping their music.
And then around 81, the lineup apparently got smaller.
That's what the online histories suggest, yeah, a streamlining.
But Wayne stayed. He was integral, helping guide that evolving sound blending R&B, rock, early synth stuff. He was adaptable.
His continued presence there, as documented online, shows his importance went beyond just the voice. It was his musical mind, too, helping them navigate those changes.
Which makes the next part of this story, the part we find online, just so tragic. His death in the early 80s.
Yeah. Complications from AIDS. Just devastating. A huge loss for the band, the fans, for music, really.
Such a unique talent, gone too soon.
And the online info often notes that the exact date, it isn't always clearly or consistently documented, which sadly kind of reflects the confusion and the stigma around AIDS back then.
Yeah, that context is so important. And Larry Blackmon apparently spoke publicly about Cooper's talent, acknowledged how exceptional he was.
Blackmon's recognition, even reported secondhand online, is significant. It validates Cooper's role, the respect he had within the band.
And framing it within that epidemic, it's a reminder of how much talent was lost across the board during that time.
A terrible period.
Yeah.
So much creativity silenced.
But even with a relatively short career, his impact, as described online, feels monumental. I mean, you hear, "Why have I lost you today?"
It still hits, doesn't it? That universal feeling of loss. It just cuts through. Timeless.
That's the power of it. It transcends trends. And his influence, according to online sources, reached artists like D'Angelo, Raphael Saadiq, Maxwell.
Yeah, those names coming up online as being influenced by him. That says a lot. They're huge talents in their own right.
Known for their own vocal depth. So being cited by them, even just in online articles or discussions, really cements Cooper's legacy.
And his voice being sampled in hip-hop and R&B.
Right. Keeps him relevant today. He often gets called an unsung hero in online retrospectives or fan forums. Feels about right.
That recognition, even if it's somewhat delayed or niche, is so vital. It acknowledges those crucial artists who weren't always front and center.
Now, Cameo, of course, they went on to have massive hits later. Word Up, Candy, a more electronic sound.
Huge hits, yeah. A different era for them.
But what's interesting, reading online accounts, is that they never really seemed to try and replace Cooper or replicate that specific falsetto sound.
And that choice, as it's interpreted online, speaks volumes about how unique he was. It wasn't just a vocal part you could slot someone else into. It suggests real respect for his specific contribution.
Irreplaceable, really. And for the longtime fans, you know, his voice during those early years, that remains a key part of their connection to the band, that emotional core.
Absolutely. That's often what locks fans into a certain period of a band's history. That emotional resonance he provided was clearly vital for early Cameo.
There's also this other layer online, these rumors, this intrigue about unreleased tracks featuring Wayne Cooper.
Ah, yes, the potential lost tapes. It always excites dedicated fans. Bootlegs, live recordings. Sometimes they surface on
Kind of
long.
keeps the flame alive, I guess.
Definitely. And offers that tantalizing glimpse of what else might be out there.
And you see it online in forums and stuff, fans really hoping for some kind of official posthumous release, a tribute album.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it would be a great way to honor him, you know, for people who remember, for new listeners, and maybe even as a reflection on that whole era and the losses from AIDS.
An official release could be incredible. Musically valuable, historically valuable,
Yeah.
preserving more of his artistry and maybe clarifying his contributions even further.
So when you pull together all this info we find scattered online, Wayne Cooper's story, it really is this mix of like amazing triumph and just deep tragedy.
Yeah, shaping the sound of such an innovative band.
A huge role.
But then having his life cut short, it underscores how much impact one person's talent can have and how devastating that loss can be.
And the power of that one song, Why Have I Lost You, to still resonate so strongly generations later. It just says everything about his voice.
That track really is his monument, a perfect, potent reminder of his talent, his ability to convey that raw, universal emotion.
Totally. So, yeah, in the story of Cameo, Wayne Cooper, he's that voice soaring above the funk. Eternal, emotive, unforgettable.
Beautifully put, a fitting tribute.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the story of Wayne Cooper and Cameo.
Been fascinating to explore.
And just one more reminder. The information we discussed today, it's primarily drawn from various internet sources, so there might be inaccuracies or different perspectives out there.
Always good to keep digging, keep reading from different places.
Definitely. And on that note, maybe a final thought for you to chew on. Thinking about Wayne Cooper's incredible voice on Why Have I Lost You? Who are some other artists from that same vibrant era, maybe similarly overlooked or less documented, whose stories and music deserve a fresh listen or greater recognition today?